Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhuveva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I guess so. Okay, we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 14, the three modes of material nature. Text, we're doing 9? Text 9. So if everyone can find that, you can repeat after me. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Raja karmani bharata.
Raja karmani bharata.
Jnanam avritya tu tamaha.
Jnanam avratya tu tamaha.
Ade sanjayatyuta.
Pramade sanjayatyuta.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Raja karmani bharata.
Raja karmani bharata.
Jnanam avritya tu tamaha.
Jnanam avratya tu tamaha.
Pramade sanjayatyuta.
Pramade sanjayatyuta.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Raja karmani bharata.
Raja karmani bharata.
Jnanam avritya tu tamaha.
Jnanam avratya tu tamaha.
Pramade sanjayatyuta.
Pramade sanjayatyuta. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Raja karmani bharata.
Raja karmani bharata.
Jnanam avratya tu tamaha. Pramade sanjayatyuta.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Raja karmani bharata.
Raja karmani
bharata.
Jnanam avritya tu tamaha.
Jnanam
avratya tu tamaha.
Pramade sanjayati.
Pramade sanjayatyuta.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Raja karmani bharata.
Raja karmani bharata.
Jnanam avritatu tamaha.
Jnanam
avratya tu tamaha.
Pramada sanjayatuta.
Pramade sanjayatyuta.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Raja karmani bharata.
Raja karmani bharata.
Jnanam avritya tu tamaha.
Jnanam avratya tu tamaha.
Pramade sanjayati uta.
Pramade sanjayatyuta.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Raja karmani bharata.
Raja karmani bharata.
Jnanam avritya tu tamaha.
Jnanam avratya tu tamaha.
Pramade sanjanayate utah.
Pramade
Sanjayati
Sanjayati
Sattvam,
Sattvam,
the mode of
Sattam,
goodness.
the mode of goodness.
Sukhe,
Sukhe,
in happiness.
in
in
happiness.
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 Sanjayati,
Sanjayati
Sanjayati,
binds.
binds.
Raja,
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 the mode of passion.
the mode of passion.
mode of passion.
Kamani,
Karma,
Money,
in fruitive activity.
Fruitive
full of
activity.
activity.
Bharata,
Bharat,
Bharata,
O son of Bharata.
O
Son
son of
of
Bharat,
son of Bharata.
Jnanam,
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 knowledge.
knowledge,
Avritya,
knowledge.
Abritya,
Avrita kare.
covering.
covering.
Two,
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 but.
but,
but.
Tamaha,
Tama,
Maha,
the mode of ignorance.
the mode of ignorance.
ignorance.
Pramade,
Pramade.
in madness.
In
In
madness.
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 Sanjayati,
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 binds.
binds.
bind.
Uta,
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 it is said.
it is
it
said.
is said.
Translation, if everyone can mute themselves now. It is, O son of Bharata. Can you mute yourself, everyone, please? Who can
O
say-
son of Bharata, the mode of goodness.
No, Pyari is the only one who reads. Everyone else is on mute, please. Thank you.
Can somebody mute everyone? Who's in charge here? They can mute everyone.
Is Rasaraj on?
I don't know if it's Rasaraj or Nanda Gopal.
Yeah, I'm doing Prabhu.
Okay. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness. Passion conditions one to furtive action. And ignorance, covering one's knowledge, binds one to madness. Purport. A person in the mode of goodness is satisfied by his work or intellectual pursuit, just as a philosopher, scientist, or educator may be engaged in a particular field of knowledge and may be satisfied in that way. A man in the mode of passion may be engaged in furtive activity. He owns as much as he can and spends for good causes. Sometimes he tries to open hospitals, give to charity institutions, etc. These are signs of one in the mode of passion. And the mode of ignorance covers knowledge. In the mode of ignorance, whatever one does is good neither for him nor for anyone. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharani Nivase Sasanyavadi Paschachadi Satarane. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance covers one's knowledge, binds one to madness. So this is explaining how these different modes of nature condition us. If we're in the mode of goodness, we're conditioned by happiness. So what does it mean? It means I'm, this scientist, I am a professor, I know all this stuff, and I can feel this, that I'm purer, I'm enjoying more, I have certain qualities, and I'm very, very satisfied in enjoying in a much subtler way than everyone else. They're not really enjoying. They're simply trying to gratify their gross material senses. That's not enjoying. So I'm enjoying more in a sense on a superficial and a mental platform because I'm satisfied with this knowledge I have. Now, this is material knowledge, not spiritual knowledge. So this is how one becomes conditioned. And therefore, you have to take birth again in this material world. Because you think as I see your hand keeps coming up here. So you can become conditioned in goodness, you can become conditioned in passion, and you can become conditioned in ignorance. So in any case, we don't want to be conditioned. We want to be liberated, spiritual. So we have to be careful. Even though we want to be in the mode of goodness, because in the mode of goodness, it's a way to come to the transcendental platform. And I'll get into it a little bit later about Shuddha Sattva or pure goodness. In the material world, when one is in the mode of goodness, he's still influenced by passion and ignorance. He's not pure goodness. You get the college professor, he also gets passionate, and then he also gets in the mode of ignorance because he thinks he knows so much, and he's actually doesn't really know anything, any transcendental knowledge. So they get, and in the mode of passion, sometimes you might be influenced by the mode of goodness and really like the country, nice, peaceful, at least for a little bit. I couldn't live there, but at least to visit, it's really nice. So I could be in the mode of goodness for a little bit. It's just so interesting when you learn about these modes of nature. You learn how they're conditioned. You learned how they're religious or irreligious. You learn how these modes influence you and what you eat, what modes of nature, foods in the mode of goodness, foods in the mode of passion. Every single thing we do is influenced by the modes of material nature in this material world. But if you can surrender to Krishna, you can come to the Shuddha Sattva or the Vasudeva state, a state of pure goodness where there's no influence of passion, no influence of ignorance, and no influence of conditioning. But this is the transcendental platform, and we can come to that platform by following the instructions of someone, Srila Prabhupada, who was on that platform of Shuddha Sattva. It says when the Krishna comes to this world, he comes on this platform, Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness platform, or Vasudeva state. And when his representatives come, they also come in this same platform. So, but right now, we're learning how we can see how people are influenced by the modes of material nature, or a better realization would be how I can see that how I'm influenced by these modes of material nature. But we can also see others. When Prabhupada came here, he wrote in a poem that everyone here is in the mode of passion and ignorance. I mean, you can see that. You go to a city and you can certainly see a lot of passion, and you can also see drunks on the street, and this is the mode of ignorance. You can learn that intoxication is a mode of ignorance. So we can see these modes of nature everywhere in this material world. And now we want to become transcendental to these modes, but being transcendental means being situated in pure goodness. I want to read another verse and purport also, but before I go on, let's see if anyone has any questions on anything I said or anything in this verse or purport, or comments. If you have any, you have to unmute yourself. So either everyone, what?
Hare Krishna, Pyari Prabhu, Dandot Pranam. So, Krishna says we should not, we should do charity, dhanam. So, how do we understand? Because here it's condemned to open a hospital.
It's not condemned.
I mean, it's suggesting that we should rise above mode of goodness.
Open a hospital is the mode of passion.
Yeah.
I mean, people are in different modes, but if somebody's in a mode of passion, they don't have to open a hospital. They could do a lot worse. At least that's good, because Krishna does say that,
Yeah.
if you, first thing is you give to Krishna consciousness programs. That's
So
Yeah.
I think what he's trying to ask is, what is charity in the mode of goodness then, you know?
I don't know. Is that what you're asking?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you for translating his English question. Well, charity in the mode of goodness is giving to the proper person at the proper time. There's charity in the modes of nature, which if you haven't read it already in this chapter, it'll be in here. But charity in the mode of goodness, like you give to a Brahmin, there's different, and then there's qualified Brahmins, there's Dvijas, and there's so many different qualified persons to give to. Of course, the best thing is to give to a pure devotee. That's because that's completely transcendental. There's nothing material in there. There's no material reaction. That's a completely transcendental charity. And that would be more like in Shuddha Sattva, Vasudeva state.
Yeah, that is above, I would think, mode of goodness. I heard in one lecture, somebody said that when you give to a devotee, the devotee uses whatever you give in Krishna's service. So in a sense, whatever you gave is used in Krishna's service.
Yes. When we say devotee, we're saying a real devotee.
Right.
Because there's so many people who may dress like devotees and they may not be devotees. And we're finding out there's people who dress like devotees, who preach Krishna consciousness and get donations and maintain themselves very elaborately with the donations. And these things are going on, not so much, but they do go on. So
a bona fide devotee is what I'm saying.
Yeah, a bona fide devotee, yes. Yes. I'm just saying it because I'm just dealing a little bit with it. Not in this temple. It's not in this state, it's somewhere else. But yeah, so that's a motive, and charity in the mode of passion is, now he's opening hospitals, but it says in the mode of passion, he's opening a hospital, and because he also wants his name on a plaque at the hospital that he purchased this hospital. So he's doing it for recognition, for name and fame. Like, I'll donate $100,000 as long as you let everybody know. Or in another temple, I'll donate this big singasan for the deities, beautiful wood, hand-carved singasan, 3 different altars. I'll pay for it if you put a plaque up there stating that I donated it. You know, that kind of takes away from the spiritual benefit that you get from it. You know, you just give that to Krishna, not looking for any recognition. That's completely transcendental. If you give it to Krishna wanting a plaque with your name on it, or your name and your family, whatever, then that's mundane, and even though it's transcendental. So you get some transcendental benefit, I'm sure, but you lose a lot of it by it's the mode of passion. And the mode of ignorance, charity in the mode of ignorance, is giving to the wrong person at the wrong time. You give to a bum who, like, I was just at the post office. We have 2 bums out there today. In East Hartford, there's always somebody collecting money there. So I got these people approaching me. I just look at them like, just get away from me, you know, don't waste my time. I just, you know, they're bums. They're collecting so they can get drunk, you know, and people give them. And that's charity in a mode of ignorance. You know, you give to somebody who's going to use the money to buy alcohol and get intoxicated. That's charity in a mode of ignorance. So you don't want to give charity to somebody you don't know. Or these certain people rip off other people just, you know, now on the internet, you know, giving charity, and they steal your money. They're just thieves. But you know, so you don't want to give it charity in the mode of ignorance. In the mode of passion, it's not so bad. You're still giving. It's not the best, but you shouldn't look for any recognition. You know, you don't care if the people know or they don't know. It doesn't make a difference, and it really doesn't make a difference. That's the mode of goodness. Charity. So it's always best, of course, to give to the temple, to give to spreading Krishna consciousness. That's the best charity you can possibly give. Any other charity is, you're not going to get the same benefit. So you're going to give $100, give it for spreading Krishna consciousness, and you'll get 100% benefit, maybe a million times. Because even it says, if you give to a Brahmin, whatever you give, you'll get back in the next life. If you give to a qualified Brahmin, whatever you give, you get 5 times as much in the next life. I mean, they have a whole system. I don't know the whole system. You'd have to go to the bank and look at it on the bulletin board. But it depends on what you're giving charity to, how much you get back. But if you're giving it for Krishna consciousness, you get back unlimited amounts. And you don't get necessarily back materially. You get back spiritual benefit for your charity, which is, there's no comparison to the benefit you can get when you can go back home, back to Godhead by giving charity. I mean, King Nurga, he gave so much charity to Brahmins. And he gave cows. It said he gave more cows than there was sand on the beaches and stars in the sky. I don't know how you can give that many cows. I guess he could have lived a really long time and the cows just kept multiplying, but he gave a lot of cows in charity. And then he gave 1 cow in charity to a Brahmin, which he gave all his cows in charity to Brahmins. And then the cow came back into his herd. And then he gave that same cow to another Brahmin. And wouldn't you know it, these very qualified Brahmins had a big argument with each other. They went back to the King Nurga. Why did you give this cow? You gave this cow to me. You also gave this cow to him. They became really upset with the king. He said, I'll take that cow back. I'll give you 100,000 cows. No, I want that cow. You know, this is a qualified Brahmin. And then they both left very unhappy. And they left the cow. Nobody got the cow. So the king didn't know what to do. But anyway, and then the king eventually passed away. Not exactly at that time, but when he got older, he passed away just like everybody does. And he went to Yamaraj. And Yamaraj said, you did so many wonderful things, but you also gave this cow in charity and then took it back and gave it in charity again. And I don't know if he had a lawyer representing him saying, no, he didn't exactly take it back. The cow came back on its own, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the 2 Brahmins were pretty upset about it. So he had to suffer for that. He asked him, do you want to get your enjoyment first or your suffering first? So he thought, which is pretty logical, that if I get my enjoyment first, then I know that suffering is there. I may as well get it over with so I don't have to think about it anymore. So he said, I'll take my suffering first. And guess what? He took birth as a lizard. And he was in a well. He was stuck in a well. But he was a lizard in a well in Vrindavan. No, it must have been Dwarka. Must have been Dwarka because Krishna was married and had children. And Krishna's children saw the lizard in the well. And they tried to reach in to get him out, and they couldn't get him out. So they got their father, Krishna, and he came and he reached down. And when he touched the lizard shed that body and assumed this form of a demigod, the king himself. And he got to get the personal touch of Krishna, personal darshan of Krishna for all that he did. He and of course I don't think he went back to Godhead at that time, but he got the results of his all his pious activities, great donations, and then he went back to Godhead after that. Because he's not going to get the association of Krishna just because he did some pious activities, but he was very sincere devotee. And he was given to Brahmins and he did the best he could, but he made that one mistake. So that's charity in a mode of goodness, giving in to the right person, a proper person at the right time and circumstance. And in the mode of ignorance, it's pretty much the opposite. Giving to something where they're going to use the money for some bad activity. I don't know if that answers your question, because I don't even remember what your question was anymore.
I guess you answered charity in every mode at this point.
Okay, we got charity down.
And beyond the modes also, you explained.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so any other comments or questions on what we read or spoke? Okay, well, we do have time to read the next verse. And guess what it's about? Rajas tamas chabibuya. I'll just read the whole thing. Sattvam bhavati bharata rajasatvam tamaschaiva tamasatvam rajastata. So we hear the sattva, rajas, tama, the modes of nature. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharat. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. So this is what's going on with all of us. Sometimes we actually are in the mode of goodness somehow or other. We feel in the mode of goodness. We're peaceful, we're kind, we're attracted to just nature. Sometimes we're in the mode of passion. We got to get things done. And sometimes we feel like sleeping. Ignorance is categorized by laziness and sleep. Laziness, we don't want to do anything. Now, laziness is okay if you don't want to do anything for your material sense gratification. You should be lazy for sense gratification, but eager and enthusiastic for devotional service, not lazy. Purport: when the mode of passion is prominent, the modes of goodness and ignorance are defeated. When the mode of goodness is prominent, passion and ignorance are defeated. And when the mode of ignorance is prominent, passion and goodness are defeated. This competition is always going on. Therefore, one who is actually intent on advancing in Krishna consciousness has to transcend these three modes. The prominence of some certain mode of nature is manifested in one's dealings. So now we just went over, for instance, charity is in different modes. So here, the prominence, which mode I'm in of some certain mode of nature is manifested in one's dealings, in how I deal with people, in his activities, how I act, in eating, what I eat, etc. Charity, etc. It says. So everything I do is influenced by the modes of nature. If I learn what the modes of nature are and how they act, then I can know what mode of nature I'm being influenced by. All this will be explained in later chapters. But if one wants, he can develop by practice the mode of goodness and thus defeat the modes of ignorance and passion. Very important. We want to try to be in the mode of goodness. So we can try and develop it. We can make, it is a fact that if you just engage in devotional service, you just chant Hare Krishna, you do your service, you follow the regulated principles, then you will come to the mode of pure goodness. But here, if one wants, he can develop by practice the mode of goodness. So we have to first find out what is the mode of goodness, and then we can practice being in that mode. Just like you practice the violin, you practice the piano, and you learn how to play. You can practice the mode of goodness. Not artificially, but you practice. I know what I should be like, and I'm going to try to be in that mode. So by practice the mode of goodness and thus defeat the modes of ignorance and passion. one can similarly develop the mode of passion and defeat goodness and ignorance. You can even practice being in the mode of passion. If you're in the mode of ignorance, it might be a good idea to practice that. Otherwise, it doesn't, you don't want to practice being in the mode of passion. Or one can develop, one can similarly develop the mode of passion and defeat goodness and ignorance. Or one can develop the mode of ignorance and defeat goodness and passion. I mean, you can actually develop it. You can work on it if you want consciously, which would be a really, unless you're in the mode of ignorance, you would have no reason whatsoever to do that. So although there are these three modes of material nature, if one is determined, he can be blessed by the mode of goodness. And by transcending the mode of goodness, he can be situated in pure goodness, which is called a Vasudeva state, a state in which one can understand the science of God. By the manifestation of particular activities, he can be understood in what mode of nature one is situated. So the person's activities, you can see they're influenced by different modes of nature. You see a drunk laying on the street, you know he's influenced by the mode of ignorance. So we should try to become in the mode of goodness. If we can get situated in the mode of goodness and try to stay in the mode of goodness as much as we can. Here it's interesting. It says, let's see, the mode of goodness. And by transcending the mode of goodness, he can be situated in pure goodness. So what is pure goodness? The main difference between pure goodness and goodness is pure goodness, there's no influence of passion and ignorance. Whereas in the mode of goodness, that supremacy comes up. I want to be supreme. The mode of ignorance is on top for a little while. Then the mode of passion is on top. And then the mode of goodness is on top. So we're not in pure goodness. Pure goodness is only goodness, no influence of passion or ignorance, which is called a Vasudeva state, a state in which one can understand the science of God. So by the manifestation of particular activities, it can be understood in what mode of nature one is situated. So not just by the manifestation of particular activities, but by reading the Bhagavad Gita, this particular chapter, other chapters too deal with modes of nature, but this particular chapter mostly, then we can see what mode of nature someone is in. You can understand they're in a certain mode of nature. And even if they're in a certain mode of nature, sometimes we can preach to them differently according to the mode of nature that they're in. So before I read some things that I copied, I'll read the translation again. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharat. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times, ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there's always competition for supremacy. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Is the mode of ignorance always considered worse than mode of passion?
Yes.
So my question is, Prabhu, did you say yes?
Yes.
So my question is, say if someone's case, mode of ignorance is the most dominant mode. But that person is not attached to any material things other than, say, sleeping.
The person, wait, stop, because I don't know what you said. Someone is the mode of ignorance, but that person, and I don't know what you said.
Yeah, I said that person is very lazy, right? So that person is attached to sleeping and taking rest. So he or she is not attached to like any other material things. Versus say someone else's case, that person's dominant case is mode of passion. So that person attached to so many different things: work, money, house, wife, all those things. So in that case, like, I am thinking the person who has mode of ignorance as a dominant mode, that person, all he has to do is overcome laziness. However, in case of the other person whose dominant mode is mode of passion, he has to overcome many things.
I understand what you're asking. It's a good question, because it seems like the mode of passion, he's going to get himself in more trouble, do more sinful activities. But the mode of ignorance is really worse, and it's not just laziness and sleep. He has to eat. When he eats, it's eating meat. That's the mode of ignorance. Whatever he does, when he's awake, then he's taking intoxication. These are really bad things. Like, for instance,
I think his question was a little different, Pyari. I think he was trying to say the person in ignorance is only attached to his sleep, but he's not attached to any material things. But the person in the mode of passion is attached to a lot of material things. So who is better? I think wasn't that your question? I don't know who was asking the question.
Yes, Mataji. I didn't say who is better. I asked who is less bad. But you got it right, Mataji.
It's a negative way, I guess. No, but the person is in ignorance. He's attached to things. It's not that he's not attached to anything. He's attached to liquor or some other intoxicant. He is attached. It's not that he just sleeps and dies. When he's awake, he's doing things. It says in the mode of ignorance, he accepts irreligion as religion. And religion as irreligion.
Yes, Prabhu, but I'm talking, I guess I'm talking from my perspective, Prabhu. So, like, I don't take religion as irreligion. However, like my case, I guess I have all three modes, but sometimes the mode of ignorance takes precedence over other two modes. Like, I want to be lazy, like, that's the thing I'm asking. So, isn't it, of course, I'm attached to other material things too.
Anyway, we're all influenced by ignorance at times. I know one devotee, some of you know him, he used to be here, Sean. And he used to say, how can, sleeping be in the mode of ignorance, because it feels so good. We're all lazy at times. We all sleep at times. But it doesn't mean we're in the mode of ignorance. We're influenced by the mode of ignorance at those times, yes. But we get out of it eventually, hopefully.
Yeah, and if we don't have the rest of the qualities of the mode of ignorance, that means we are only temporarily being ignorant.
Right. We're not eating meat. We're not taking intoxicants.
Yeah, exactly. We're not doing any of those other things. So, like the person who was asking the question said,
we're not accepting that blowing up people, innocent people is religion, and I go to heaven for it.
Yeah. So we are in Mishra mode, right? I mean,
we're in
mixed mode.
We're mixed. We're all mixed. That's what it says here. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the mode of passion and ignorance. Oh, son of Bar. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance. Mm-hmm. And at other times, ignorance defeats goodness and passion. Mm-hmm. So that's what happens with all of us until we're in pure goodness. Sudha Sattva. That means no influence of passion or ignorance. And that comes by practicing, trying to be more in the mode of goodness, but mainly by, in our case, in Kali Yuga, by engaging in this devotional service, chanting Hare Krishna and following the regulated principles will eventually come to Sudha Sattva. So you're not in the mode of ignorance. You're just temporarily influenced by that mode.
So Prabhu, what happened when I was young, when I was in school or college, when my school was closed, when I got some free time, I was like, sleeping or watching TV. Then my father always used to say, you can never be a devotee. First, you have to be like, elevate yourself from mode of ignorance to mode of patience. You have to go and like involve in activities like playing soccer, all those things. So now that I understood what he was saying that time. Do you think like, say I have some free time. Of course, the best thing would be to chanting or, read spiritual books like Prabhupada books. But if I am, if I don't do that, do you think it's better to sleep or like, involve myself in like some type of material activities? Which one would be better? That's my question.
I would say better to engage in, trying to figure out how to make more money, or, that's the mode of passion, or even playing some sport, which is good exercise. Better you do that than sleeping.
Yeah, or some volunteer service. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Prabhu. I think you were saying the exact same thing what my father said, although I never listened to him. Thank you.
I know exactly what you're saying. My grandfather used to wake us up early in the morning, and he used to yell at my mother to wake us up. These kids are sleeping too late. The sun is up and they're still sleeping. And my mother used to defend us, saying, let the kids sleep, let the kids sleep, So in a sense, if you do not practice some of these things when you're younger, it's very hard to break those habits when you're older, So now I understand that my grandfather was right. My mother should have actually got us into the habit of getting up early.
And she'd have to deal with you.
She'd have to, that's right. Maybe that's why she would want us to sleep. She didn't want to deal with us. Well, she liked to sleep and she didn't want to make breakfast too early. That was the problem.
I remember when I was a kid, on a Saturday or a Sunday, and this is true, and it may not sound so, but if I woke up by 10 o'clock in the morning, I felt I got the whole day ahead of me. It was rare for me to get up that early on a weekend, 10 in the morning. I don't know if anybody.
So we have to know that we have to have the mode of goodness, but beyond the mode of, we have to go beyond the mode of goodness to practice Krishna, chanting mantras and things like that, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. But for now, we do both.
Mm-hmm.
Try to be in the mode of goodness. And why do you have to have a choice only between ignorance and passion? Why can't you put the choice of goodness in there too? Omeo?
Yes, Prabhu. No, I didn't say. I understand the first one, mode of goodness would be the best choice. All I was asking, sometimes, I'm so fallen that I don't feel like doing spiritual activities, right? So in that case, like which one would be better? Like say taking rest or getting involved? But I guess you gave me the answer. Getting involved in the material activities would be better.
Yeah, if that's the only two choices, yes. But and I think most people aren't interested in doing spiritual activities unless they're advanced devotees. Most devotees, it's like not that attractive because we're in a disease condition.
But I have a point. If you're taking some rest and then get a little more enthused to do your spiritual activities, it might be better to take the rest,
That's another thing. That's not laziness and sleep. That you have to take rest. Sometimes you're too tired and you can't do anything. You just take a little rest for a half hour and you're fine. You could get back up and do stuff.
Right.
That's just practical. But I don't think he was saying that. Just too weak and tired.
Oh, I see. Yeah, he was saying he did not want to do the spiritual activity. Yeah.
It's just not motivated.
And then
okay,
you were
thank
also.
You, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, and have a nice night. And Hare Krishna.
For listening, and you too have a nice night and be safe and Hare Krishna.
But you were also trying to make the point, Prabhu, Pyari, that You should go beyond goodness, right? I'm sorry. Everybody's calling you Prabhu. I'm so not used to calling you.
I didn't have a question because we got on the Prabhu and no, I mean Pyari.
That was pretty funny.
But we didn't hear your question because of that.
My question was, you were really trying to say that we should get beyond goodness also.
Yes. I want to read some things. And well, this is from the Bhagavad Gita, this purport from 7th chapter, text 1. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly. So just in here's a few things. By developing devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance. It doesn't say it becomes freed from the mode of goodness. And thus, material lust and avarice are diminished. And when these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, no influence of passion or ignorance, becomes enlivened by devotional service. So right now we're not in pure goodness, so we're not enlivened by devotional service, but we actually become enlivened. We really want to engage in devotional service and understands the science of God perfectly. That's from purport 7.1 and in 17.3, Bhagavad Gita. Pure goodness is transcendental. In purified goodness, one can understand the real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to get to that platform. And then the next verse, 17.4, God worship is for persons who are transcendentally situated in pure goodness. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 4.3.23, it is said, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. When a man is situated in pure goodness, he worships Vasudeva. Now, I was reading, well, this is from some other books, and I also have a bunch of quotes from Prabhupada in classes or conversations. So this next one is from Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. This exchange of feelings between Krishna and Radharani is very difficult to understand unless one is elevated to the platform of pure goodness. So you can actually understand the exchanges of feelings between Radha and Krishna by being situated in pure goodness. Otherwise, it's very difficult to understand. And most likely you will not understand. The nectar of devotion. When one transcends the status of ecstatic love and thus becomes situated on the highest platform of pure goodness, one is understood to have cleansed the heart of all material contamination. That's in the nectar of devotion, direct and indirect attraction for Krishna. So we get to cleanse our heart of all material contamination by being in this pure goodness. Okay, next, nectar of instruction, verse 3. This is called Vishuddha Sattva, the platform of pure goodness, or goodness free from the contamination by the qualities of passion and ignorance. So pure goodness means pure goodness, and it also means free from the contamination of the qualities of passion and ignorance. Okay, this Srila Prabhupada says, they are above goodness, Shuddha Sattva. The devotees are not in this material world. They are in the spiritual world. That is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. That was talking to Bob Cohen, who is Brahmatirtha, and they wrote the book, Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers. So next, now this is from a lecture in Bhagavad Gita in Los Angeles in 1968. in the material world, so this is Prabhupada preaching in 1968, the goodness, the quality of goodness is sometimes tinged with passion and ignorance. But in pure goodness, which is Krishna consciousness, there is no tinge of passion or ignorance. Automatically, everything is good. Yes. I'm just reading a lot of this so that we can get a better idea of what Shuddha Sattva is, or transcending the modes of nature is. It means being in goodness without any influence whatsoever of passion or ignorance. So as long as we still want to sleep, we know we're not on that platform. I mean, not that I even want to sleep. We don't really need much sleep, but we seem to need more than we actually do. There was a study by scientists about sleep, and you don't need physically, you don't need to sleep. You need to sleep more mentally. Brain. That's why we need to sleep. Okay, when there is prominence, this is from the Srimad Bhagavatam lecture in Auckland. Where's that? Like in Australia? I think it's Australia or New Zealand. When there is predominance of goodness, then we can understand what is God, what I am, what is this world. So when you're in goodness, you can understand these things. That is knowledge. And above this, transcendental. Not only knowledge, but practical application of knowledge in life. This is called Shuddha Sattva, practical application. Only theoretically know, yes, there is God, and there's a break. When you engage yourself in the service of the Lord, that is Shuddha Sattva. So just having theoretical knowledge, yes, there's God, that's not enough. But when you're engaging in his service, that's Shuddha Sattva. And that was in 1973 in a lecture. This is a lecture from the Bhagavatam in 1974 in Bombay, or nowadays Mumbai. But you have to surpass the Sattva Gun. That is called Shuddha Sattva. Untinted, without any tinge of these Rajagun and Tamagun. In the material world, you may be situated on the Brahminical qualification, Sattva Gun, but there is chance of being infected by the Rajagun and Tamagun. Therefore, it is not Shuddha Sattva, pure Sattva. So, you have to come to the platform of pure Sattva Gun. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudevam Shabditam. That pure Sattva Gun, mode of goodness, is called Vasudev, or Vasudev, he gives, and is called Vasudev. And Vasudev, he gives birth to Vasudev, Krishna. So when you come to that platform, Shuddha Sattva, then you will be able to give birth to Vasudev, Krishna. That means you will meet Vasudev, Shuddha Sattva. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudevam Shabditam. This is the process. So when we come to that platform, just like it's a platform, it's a Vasudev platform. Vasudev platform. And Vasudev gave birth to Krishna. So we can then see Krishna. Just two more things here. I would have gotten more, but I didn't have much time. This is from Srimad. This is a class. These both are two classes. They're both in Vrindavan in 76, October and November, from the Srimad Bhagavatam. We can see that there is no darkness in the sun planet. It is glowing effulgence. Similarly, in the spiritual world, there is no ignorance. Everyone is Shuddha Sattva. Not only Sattva Gun, but Shuddha Sattva. It's interesting that even in the spiritual world, it's Shuddha Sattva. Everyone there is Shuddha Sattva. There's no ignorance. There's no passion. And the last one here is, when your mind and consciousness will not be contaminated by the modes of ignorance and passion, that is Shuddha Sattva. That is Shuddha Sattva. That is spiritual platform, Vasudeva. Then Vasudeva will beget Krishna. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudevam Shabbitam. So if we purify our existence, another Krishna comes, or Krishna's devotees come. They come in Shuddha Sattva. Okay, so now, well, we got 5 minutes left. Any questions about Shuddha Sattva or transcending the modes? Okay. I don't know. Do you?
So what happens if you have a tinge of whatever mode, material mode, even goodness or even a slight passion or whatever?
Okay,
But
tinge of goodness, that's not good. That means you're in passion and ignorance all the time.
right. I think good. Yeah, if you're situated in even Krishna consciousness, you can be in the mode of goodness. But if you have a tinge of passion or whatever, and you're chanting Krishna's names at the time of your passing, how does that work out?
Well,
I have to pass through a certain hell before I get to Goloka.
sorry, but you can't make it.
But Krishna promised, if you chant my name.
I know. I mean, I don't know who goes back to Godhead, who doesn't go back to Godhead. I would think a person chanting Hare Krishna and leaves their body is going back to Godhead. Nobody's going to say, oh, he was chanting, but passionately. I also see, this is what we have to be conscious of what we're supposed to be doing, how we're supposed to be developing our consciousness. The mode of goodness is easy to see. The mode of passion is easy to see. The mode of ignorance is easy to see. So I have to avoid ignorance and passion. I have to act in goodness. So now I know what I'm supposed to do. So I try to do it. And the more I can do it, the better off I am. And when I'm actually on the platform of Shuddha Sattva, then we meet Krishna personally. But even if we leave our body, we're making the effort. I mean, there's different, I can only tell you the way I see it. I think it go back to Godhead. I think, if a person is really trying really hard, you don't fail them. Sorry, you don't make it. You tried really hard. You didn't do that great, but we'll make an exception.
I mean, it also says Krishna provides what we lack and
Yes.
carries what we have.
Right. Yes.
Okay, I think you answered my question.
Yeah, just keep chanting. You got to just chant, follow the principles, and that's it. You can't do more than that. You can make the effort to try to be more in the mode of goodness. And of course, you have to know what the modes are like, what they all are, and then you can do it better. But it's not a material thing. We don't have to just try to be only in goodness. We have to try to be only Krishna conscious. Think of Krishna, serve Krishna, do things for Krishna. And that'll bring us to the mode of goodness.
Shy.
But don't worry about it, because you can be on a mental platform. I'm not going back to God. I'm not going back to God.
I know what you mean. Just sincerely and effortfully chant.
And I think it's like whatever Krishna wants, he knows best. If I don't go back to Godhead, I want to go back to Godhead. But if I don't, what can I do? It's like, it's not up to me. I mean, maybe it is up to me, but I'm willing to only do this much, I'm not willing to just be fully surrendered 24 hours a day. So therefore, maybe I don't go back to Godhead. So whatever happens, it happens. I'm doing something for Krishna. We should all be feeling that we're doing as much as right now we're willing to do, and we should try to do more. At least we should see where we're lacking. We should at least see our shortcomings and try to work on them. And we shouldn't be overwhelmed if we see all of our shortcomings and we see it's not even possible for me to be a pure devotee. just find out at least one thing that's, the main thing that's stopping you from being Krishna conscious, and work on that. Make an effort. Krishna sees it. I don't see how you can.
No, I agree.
You don't want to be mental about it. If we go back, we go back. That's wonderful. If we don't, well, we'll still be in a better situation than we are now.
Well, keep the desire and your best effort, right?
Yeah. That's it. And really, we shouldn't even be doing it to go back to Godhead. We should just be doing it to please Srila Prabhupada, please Krishna, or please our Guru, whoever it may be. He may be, because right now I think there's only he's in ISKCON. But that's changing.
We have our Shiksha Guru, you and Jiva Mataji.
Yeah, you can have Shiksha.
Like Jayananda's answer when he was asked, how can I make spiritual advancement? Jayananda was asked. And he said, I'm too busy to think of it.
Oh, really? He said that?
Yeah.
No, Jayananda was asked that question, and that was Jayananda's answer. That Jayananda didn't ask the question.
I know that I didn't realize Jayananda would say something like that. I'm too busy to think about it.
He was just so fully engaged,
Right.
24 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think I have that problem.
Then you should think about it.
I know, that's what I was going to say. I have plenty of time to think about it.
But that's a good problem.
Okay, we've already gone over. I wanted to do one thing. I was told that today is this very special, auspicious day, and it's someone's birthday. So we'd like to sing that person the Hare Krishna birthday song. And do you know who it is? Anybody want to guess?
Yes.
Who said that?
I said Pyari Prabhu. I said.
Okay.
know.
I said Shuddha Bhakti here. I said.
I know it's Shuddha Bhakti. After you said it 3 times.
Even I.
Want to confirm.
Whose birthday is it?
Hey, Shuddha Bhakti, whose birthday is it?
Ganpati Govind Prabhu's birthday.
Very cool. So I hope he's still on. We can see him. If everybody
June 30th, huh?
What?
June 30th, I said.
Yeah, if everyone can unmute. Yeah, today's the 30th. Can somebody unmute everyone, or everyone unmute? Ganpati Govind, can you hear us?
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada.
He's there.
Do you see me?
Yeah. Oh, wow, you are bright.
Bright light.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Hare Krishna, Ganpati Govind.
Hare
Krishna to you.
Hare
Krishna to you. Hare
Krishna, dear Ganpati Govind Prabhu. Hare Krishna to you.
May you never take birth again. May you never take birth again. May you never take birth again.
Go back
Home
home,
back to
Godhead.
Go back home
back
to
to
Go back home back to Godhead.
Haribo!
Are you 5? Are you 10? Are you 5? Are you 10? Are you 15? Are you
16,
20?
Mataji, 16.
16?
Sweet 16.
Whatever 16.
You can have
whatever
party, right?
16.
Sweet 16.
Doesn't he look 16?
Bol Vrinda.
Samarthi, bro.
I see somebody gave you a new kid for your birthday. Someone gave you a new kid for your birthday.
Yeah, you get for your birthday.
Danya Gopi.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
What?
Hare,
I can't hear him.
Can't hear you.
Cannot understand.
He got lot of balloons, it seems.
Oh, balloons. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you must be happy now.
Where is your cake? Oh, wow. Wow. What flavor is that? Wow.
What
In
flavor?
half an hour, I'll be outside your door, okay?
What flavor is?
We can't hear you.
Rasmalai.
Rasmalai. Whoa.
Let's all go in half an hour. We'll be there.
You can also have dinner along with the cake. Hare Krishna, Ganpati Prabhu.
What?
I want to say something to Prabhu, Ganpati Prabhu. Prabhu, when you go back to Godhead, please take me with you in your luggage.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to. I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you. I hope you accept my prayer. I think you're catching the wrong bus.
I'd say as long as you're not sleeping.
Prabhu, please wake me up.
Adipati Govind, happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Your microphone is messed up or you're something else.
I don't know what's wrong with that. Now?
Not good.
Not good, not good.
Hari Bol.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe it was the laptop's earphone is not good. The mic is not good.
Yeah, now you can hear you perfect.
Yeah. I was saying thank you so much and please give your blessings to me.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Tulsi.
I'm gonna eat all the cake for you.
Okay.
How can you bring Vinda here?
You can come here on Friday, okay? I'll wait for
I'm
you.
gonna come on Friday and do play.
Yes, we'll all play together.
Anyway, we hope you have many, many more birthdays and give many, many more classes.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
And teaching.
Thank you.
Yeah, just true. Many, 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 many books.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Okay. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Glory.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your
Hare
support.
Krishna.
Have a wonderful Krishna conscious birthday.
Thank you,
Wonderful,
Madam.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpataru.